This program will be temporarily interrupted. Everyone, including freaks, has been contaminated by the radioactivity lab. Let's jam, radioactive. Let's jam, radioactive. Let's jam, radioactive. Let's jam, radioactive.
Blood, guns, gangbangers, and installs and pick and dope swingers. You got to have knowledge in this world. You might get your person snapped before your ice world. You're doing your job every day, but then you work so hard that your hair turns gray. But let me tell you, everybody, that's the way it stands. You gotta have enough if gonna stay on land. Money will take your mind. You gotta be strong now and fight crime. People screaming every day that it ain't no job on the street, night and day, making daily rides. I remember the days of my way. People didn't even know what dope paid. People in this world don't know what to do. It seems like magic, also voodoo.
Let's jam, radioactive. Let's jam, radioactive. Let's jam, radioactive.
Out of work, out of play, all hustle and trouble. Man, say it's delay, cause of Jeopardy double. Who's calling the shot? What rights have I got? Why must the artist be put on the spot? Must I keep it low?
What do y'all? This your girl Miss Danny Baby back one more again with another video. How y'all doing? I brought this song briefly to discuss something I found very intriguing, and that's in relation to artists that actually seemingly predict the future. And with all this 5G and COVID stuff going on, these quarantines going on, and with everybody scared out of their living minds, and I hope a lot of you are finding peace and tranquility, being able to quarantine yourself and rest your mind as much as possible. But when we have the time to rest and reflect, we can take time to search back and reach back and look back and turn back and look at things that we may not have paid attention to, especially, when it comes to old songs, I won't say genres because rap is still here, but like the older school rap. And being a Generation Xer, I do remember certain songs. And this particular song that I just played, MC Fosti and Love and C, Radioactivity, that's a classic. But I'm going to show you some more. And hopefully there's no problems with me having this song on this particular video. But what I realized is that a lot of different artists, and I don't know if it's because when they're creating their art, a lot of them actually are able to vibrate on a certain frequency where they get information, they get foresight, or maybe it's just the circles in which they, stomp these here earth grounds that they're given information. But I'll post the lyrics to this particular song. But with this, like I said, the hysteria and everything with 5G, we're gonna look back and see if there is some correlation, or did artists in the past have some type of foresight. But there are other examples, not just rap, but I'm going to show you in just a second how common this is, where celebrities tell us, to put our glasses on, and they actually can predict things to come. So let me pull some information up if you give me just a second. Here's an article here. Rock stars who freakishly predicted the future. And if I have time, I'll link it to the bottom. I don't want this video to be too long. I just want us to put our thinking caps on. But some of the information here, it says that rock stars are wild and creative folks constantly trying to stay ahead of the curve. In a way, their whole job is trying to predict the future. They need to constantly figure out what kind of music they should write next, and they have a divine, and they have to divine if the fans still like the style they used on their last album, or if they should sneak some progressive elements on the upcoming one. Will the people in that one concert venue like their new stage show, or pelt them with rotten eggs like the last time? So it's just telling you how artists have to, just by the nature of their career, they have to stay ahead of the curve. But I think it's even deeper than that. Um, and here's some brief examples. Jim Morrison, he predicted electronic dance music, but way back in 1969. And that's crazy. That's a long time ago, 1969. He said, I could see a lone artist with a lot of tapes and electrical, like an extension of the Moog synthesizer, a keyboard with the complexity and richness of a whole orchestra, you know. There's somebody out there working in the basement just inventing a whole new musical form, pardon me. He was predicting basically the rise of electronic dance music. Here we're going to talk about Jimi Hendrix. He predicted climate change way back in 1967. Let me see if I can move this screen a little bit so you guys can see. Just a moment. There we go, a little bit better. But he was talking about climate change in 1967. He came up with a song called Up From the Skies. And he's talking like he's an alien visitor who visits our planet after a long absence. And for those of you that talk about like the Anunnaki and different type of extraterrestrials, and I'm one that believes that there were other life forms here before man. And I'm not a traditional religious person. I have a pretty open mind, but it's amazing that some of these other artists predicted things of this nature. And the narrator in this particular song that he did says the earth has changed since the colder days when he last visited. So I guess, you know, predicting global warming. But at one time, this earth was warm anyway. This cat here, Leonard Cohen, he just passed away 4 years ago, right before Trump's election, but he predicted that Trump would be elected. He's an artist. I think they said he died right the day before he was elected. Yeah, it says he succumbed to his disease he had before election day in 2016. Wow. This cat here, Frank Zappa, he actually was one of the first people to voice a way to distribute music digitally. And he did this when, I believe this was 1983. So way before MP3s were mainstream and all that shit. People didn't even really have computers in 1983. The fuck? Can you imagine this dude talking about digital transfers? Now we have MP4s and all different types of formats that you could transfer information. And then it gets into some of the more scary stuff, like artists predicting their own deaths. So again, I feel like a lot of artists are in tune to some certain things, and a lot of times if you can decode, and decoding, you have to, that's a learned process. It's not easy to do, but once you kind of get the hang of it, and I'm getting a little better as time goes on, you can kind of decode certain things. And again, I haven't been seasoned in that, but there are people that have been doing it for like years and years and years and years. But I do, being an artistic person myself, I can see now how a lot of stuff was coded, just like the Bible was coded with certain things and information. It takes eyes to see and hear, eyes to see and ears to hear, a special kind. They say David Bowie predicted it. the future of the internet. He even came up with his own type of platform even before MySpace and Instagram, way before Instagram, but even before like MySpace and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. He came up. What was his? He came up with his own platform. Even what was it called? Was it on here? Let's see. One second. Okay, I see it. It was called Bowie.net. So again, there are many artists that have predicted the future, but I'm gonna stick to R&B and R&B and hip hop, and just give you guys a look at some of these lyrics, and it'll blow your mind. So wait just a second. Oh, and real quick before we get into the actual songs, so I want to bring these couple points up so I don't make this video too long. I know we got stuff to do, meditation to take care of and everything like that. There's a couple of articles because there's a lot of confusion, and even myself, I had to get it right in my brain. Okay, when we're talking about like radiation, what is radiation specifically? What is 5G specifically? How is 5G dangerous? And what does it mean if something is has radiation, or is it radioactive? And is there a difference? And there is a difference between something that's radioactive and something that just produces radiation, but it's not necessarily radioactive. And it basically has to do with how powerful the frequency is, and if the frequency has what do they call it? Ionizing radiation. And ionizing radiation is basically moving those electrons and I believe protons, but especially like electrons, just taking them completely out of the nucleus. You can have something that is has radiation, and that's because the electrons and stuff are moving around or bouncing around more inside the cell. But when something is radioactive, like when we're talking about nuclear waste and all those half-lives and all that type of stuff, that's when those electrons have basically been unleashed. So that's the stuff that I was more scared of when I was younger. I don't know if you guys had that same fear, but all the movies that were about atomic bombs and nuclear bombs and nuclear holocaust and nuclear winters, and we won't see the sun for 10,000 days, and we're all gonna bleed to death because of radiation poisoning that's causing hemorrhaging and all that kind of stuff. Oh my God, that crap freaked me out as a child, and even as an adult. It is scary. But I think in these days and times, it's not so much of a nuclear war, even though that could potentially happen as well. But I think it's going to be more a more seductive type of force, where you're pulled and called to it because it doesn't look dangerous on the surface, and also because it's going to be ever present and omnipresent, just everywhere. And that's how all these generations of electromagnetic I can't even say it electromagnetic radiation is coming to us, whether we're talking about 3, 4, 5, 6, 10G, whatever, and they say 5G is 100 times stronger than the 4G. It's just gonna be like insidious in our lives, and artists did talk about things like this in different ways, and you have to be able to decode and see what they're saying. But briefly on this article, this cat, and I'll link this is a very informative article. This dude, he's an expert in the field, and he said, first, 5G emits ultra high frequencies. The higher the frequency, the shorter the length of each wave. This means more waves hit our body in the same amount of time. Previous cellular generations emitted from 1 to 6 gigahertz frequencies. 5G cell towers may emit frequency as high as 300 gigahertz. So you can tell right off top it's much, much stronger. 1 to 6 gigahertz all the way up to 300. Like, God, that's even stronger than the 100 times that I said previously, if we're going to go down from 1 to 300. But anyway, it says second, 5G technology requires ultra high intensity. Since there are shorter length millimeter waves, MMV for short, used in 5G do not travel as far and get obstructed easier with our current number of cell towers. The cell signal will not be reliable. To compensate, 5G cell towers will have to emit the lower 3 and 4G waves as well, and many more mini cell towers will have to be installed. It says that it is estimated that they will need a mini cell tower every 2 to 8 houses. So it's going to increase our radio frequency radiation exposure. And at the top of the article, he tells you all cell towers emit radio frequency radiation. And let me move this over so you guys can see it. Hold on one second. Okay, so you can see right here, it says all cell towers emit radio frequency radiation. There are literally hundreds of peer-reviewed scientific studies from around the world that have linked this non-ionizing, remember I talked about ionizing versus non-ionizing form of electromagnetic radiation to bring things like cancer, DNA damage, especially in infants and fetuses, and infertility. It says within the radio frequency portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, the higher the frequency, the more dangerous the radiation is. So even if something is non-ionizing and it's not throwing that electron around outside of the nucleus, and it's not like the type of radiation that we expect from what do you call those, nuclear power plant or a bomb or something, you can still get radiation at strong levels when it's non-ionizing. It's kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? What's that word? It's almost like it's kind of off topic, but when you're comparing like a overt to a covert narcissist, I would say the ionizing radiation is more the overt narcissist that's out in your face and rah rah rah. And the non-ionizing electromagnetic radiation is the covert narcissist, still doing damage just beneath the surface and below the surface and, you know, undetected. But let's see what else he has here. Just a second. Oh, and he tells us here with RF radiation, which is radio frequency radiation, how close the source is to our physical bodies is more important than the power level. And so, in other words, a low power exposure right next to someone is more dangerous than a more powerful exposure a long way away. But also, the longer the exposure time, the more dangerous it is. 5G will be the worst of both worlds. We will have more sources around us and closer to us. So that just gives you an idea of what we're dealing with. And I'll post a article at the bottom of this video. It has a lot of insightful information. And again, just so you guys can see what radioactivity is, which is the word used in MC Fosty's song. Radioactivity is a spontaneous emission of radiation in the form of particles or high energy photons resulting from a nuclear reaction. It is also known as radioactive decay, nuclear disintegration, or radioactive disintegration. While there are many forms of electromagnetic radiation, they are not always produced by radioactivity. For example, a light bulb may emit radiation in the forms of heat and light, yet it is not radioactive. A substance that contains unstable atomic nuclei is considered radioactive. So that's the technical term when we're speaking about something that is actually radioactive. But when we're talking about in a metaphorical sense, since radioactivity per se is the strongest form of radiation Could it be that the fear put out there about radiation is in the worst spectrum, so you can low key ignore the slow killers that are put out there to cause a lot of damage? And when I looked at the lyrics to this actual song, it tripped me out. Look at this. It says, this program will be temporarily interrupted. Everyone, including freaks, has been contaminated by the radioactivity rap. So if you think about that, how the song starts out, he says this program will be temporarily interrupted. Isn't that what we're doing with quarantine and COVID-19 and all the interruption in our daily lives? Is it a temporary interruption? I don't know. Quiet as kept, I think we could possibly see a resurgence of this type of thing happening. Will it be because of COVID-19 all over again or some other issue? I just personally don't think this will be the last of this type of thing. This could be basically a test run for all we know. I have seen reports that a lot 5G towers are going up all over the country and all over the world, like all at once. Is that a direct correlation to COVID-19? Maybe, maybe not. A lot of people say probably not. But again, is this a fake right, go left type of concept where they have us worrying about this over here while they're doing this over there? So what I want you people to do is check out everything. Keep your eyes on everything. That doesn't mean tremble in fear and be frozen in fear. That doesn't mean you can't be afraid or concerned about certain things, but don't be paralyzed in fear. And I'm speaking to myself as well. So this is not coming from on high preaching to anyone, but I just want you to take a look at a couple things. And then the hook, let's jam, radioactive. And he used a lot of metaphors in the song. He said blood, cuz, gangbangers, and there's thugs and pimps and dope slangers. You've got to have knowledge in this world. You might get your purse snatched before your eyes swirl. And that's something. And that what I just said, you have to have knowledge. You have to be able to decode certain things. You have to be able to research and thank the universe for the internet. Some people think that knowledge is evil and it opens your mind up to too many different things. They feel like there are certain human beings that they feel like knowledge to be limited, especially to certain groups of people, because a lot of people might not know what to do with information. But bump that, I feel like knowledge, everybody that wants it should be able to get it, especially when it comes to living a safer and better and more fruitful existence and life on this planet. But it says you have to have knowledge in this world. You might get your purse snatched before your eyes swirl. You're doing your job every day, but then you work so hard till your hair turns gray. But let me tell you, everybody, that's the way it stands. You gotta have, and then it's can't understand what he said. Whoever wrote the lyrics, and I can't understand it either. That little part, he's kind of mumbling right there, but it says, and that's what it means when you see a question mark. But he says you gotta have a blank. Money will take your mind. We gotta be strong now and fight crime. People screaming every day that ain't no job. Walking the street night and day, making daily rob. I remember the days of my way. People didn't even know what dope paid. People in this world don't know what to do. It seems like magic, also voodoo. Isn't that kind of how we feel? A lot of people feel like some type of big bad kraken or curse or something has been brought upon the world. Now you can see it twofold, like a curse or a blessing in a way that time stands still so you can get your shit together. But it's chaos. like it said here, you're doing your job every day, minding your business, but then you work so hard till your hair turns gray. That means you're going in a certain direction, spinning your wheels, and the next thing you know, you're old, feeble, tired, haven't accomplished things in your life, and then all of a sudden, here's the world coming at you. Purses is snatching, your eyes are swirling. Money will take your mind, especially if you don't know how to direct it, how to preserve it, and how to achieve it. That is no joke. So let's go further, so we can come to closing this video. He says, I got the radioactivity. And then he says, I don't work out of play. I'll hustle and trouble. Man say a delay, cause of jeopardy double. Who calling the shots? What rights have I got? Why must I always be put on the spot? What rights have I got? Are we not? Trying to figure this out. And I believe this song came out in '83. Must keep a low pro so I won't get robbed. It's hard to find a job in this day and age. Trouble on the street just can't be beat. It's hard to compete with thugs in the heat. And I've seen videos of people talking about where people are trying to rob him with this COVID crisis, waiting outside of grocery stores. This one lady, I might post a video, maybe not, but she said she had to pull her gun out because this cat tried to rob her coming out of a little store with her groceries. They think, because police are scaling back their protection in some cities, that criminals are thinking that they can do whatever and nothing will be done. So it is a lot of craziness, unfortunately, that is going on. So you have to watch your front and your back as we go through these different times. There is a big change going along in the world right now. And then he repeats this, cuz blood gangbangers and there's thugs and pimps and dope slingers. You got to have knowledge in this world. You might get your purse snatched before your eyes swirl. So he goes on. And then it says zoom, 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 zoom. I love that part of the song. Zoom, zoom, zoom. It's like fast, fast. It's just going. It's going. It's going. Time is going. And then the bridge on the song is we will rock you. We will rock you. We will rock you. What is that saying? Is time going so fast that it's rocking you back to sleep and you have to fight to keep yourself awake? It is a challenge. And then the rapper goes back and says, who's that trying to be bad? Who's that trying to be bad? So who is that trying to be bad? Are you trying to buck the system? Are you trying to fight to improve your way of life? And the song actually is very graphic than what I realized years ago. Back in the day when you're just listening to music, you're just listening to the beats and the drums or whatever that's in the song, the different songs that we liked, the musical composition, but not necessarily the words. At least I didn't all the time. But this song has some violent parts also. It says a bullet went by, didn't know what it was. It was all about blood and it was all about cuz. He was shot in the brain by a violent street gang, died on the corner with his girlfriend's chain. This is interesting to me. I know blood and cuz or blood is a type of gang. Cuz, especially on certain coasts, they call fellow gangbangers cuz. But could blood and cuz actually talk about kinfolk? Are you of a certain bloodline? Will you be passed over like we just had with Passover because you are a particular bloodline? Or are you meant to be sacrificed? It's going to take a lot of internal and external work, but it could be, metaphorically speaking, even though it looks like he's just talking about gangbanging, but it could be a lot deeper than that. He said he was shot in the brain by a violent street gang, died on the corner with his girlfriend's chain. His girlfriend ran fast as she could, tried to get help while the others stood, just looking around. He said, saying who's on the ground. Is there money in his pocket to be found? Kids smoking sherm or sniffing on cocaine, kicking back waiting for fame. Insane in the brain, what you will be if cocaine you smoking, you see. Hi, believe in me like ABC. Don't live your life in no misery. Remember the days we kept it live with Temptations and Jackson 5. That's a loaded statement. Kids keep kicking back, waiting for fame. Are they not doing that in the age of Instagram and all these different apps? Instagram, Facebook, now it's TikTok, and a lot of these other um, apps and media websites that you can go to. People are looking for fame, and a lot of people are using drugs and alcohol to try to calm the hopelessness that they feel. So, and it's telling you don't live your life in no misery. But sad enough, those drugs and alcohol can put you in actual misery. And this here, the song, he's just saying, hey, buddy, buddy, hey, buddy, buddy. If you can dig it, you can get it. You can get on down. If you can dig it. When you say dig it, that's slang for do you understand? Right here it says you're headed to a dance floor and your power button's on with radioactivity in your bone. You got 5 to get in, you want to have fun, haha. But a fool comes up to you with a gun. He takes your money and he's out of sight. And just then he ruins your night. But as you're walking home, the boys roll up and say, hold it right there, put your hands up. Girls getting pregnant, pimps on the prowl, prostitutes everywhere to show you how. Money in your pocket, where did it go? You gave it to your homeboy to get you some coke. Grandma going mad, he assists her with a pad, but he hustles in the city trying to make good penny. Knock on wood, get your clientele took. Street so bad you can't overlook it. And that's chaos that's been going on in this world. And look at this. It says with radioactivity in your bone. When we're talking about 5G waves, they say that it's a low frequency radiation compared to other forms. But it comes in it's a lower radio frequency. It's not ionizing, but even though it's lower than other forms of radiation, they have to push 5G harder than they would push other forms of radiation, and it gets to you by coming in contact with your skin, and that's how it enters your body. And it's saying with radioactivity in your bone. And then we're talking about the health effects and how it can make you sick. A lot of people, even with the 4G, they were claiming like depression and feeling like out of sorts. We don't know what this crap will do once they turn 5G on, because technically it's not even on right now. I think they're setting up a lot of these corporations, a lot of cities to get ready for it, but we don't know what it's going to do. Will it create like some type of forced electronic hysteria? But if you look at this song, it seems like hysteria. People getting robbed, people doing dope, pimps and hustlers, and we already got the pimps and hustlers and prostitutes, unfortunately. Little girls getting pregnant. But could this cause even a deeper form of mental challenges for people? We have to really protect our bodies going forward so that we're not susceptible to these things. Now, one thing I will say, this planet, as far as archaeological evidence is concerned, some scientists speculate that, like, let's say Egypt, for example, even though that's not the only ancient ground in this world. I mean, we have some right here in America, we have some in Asia, but let's go to Africa for right now. In Egypt, they say that those actual pyramids at one time were able to transmit electricity from one part of the city to the other. Like they were on some high level scientific mathematician, um, uh, physicist type of level, and they were very like the scientists that existed back then. They were on a higher vibration and a higher frequency, in tune to something else. Some people speculate it was extraterrestrial intelligence that helped the human beings that were on this earth. That could or could not be true. I'm not knocking it. Um, but even if you believe in typical like religious stories, and a lot of those are historical to a point, even though they change the name of the characters and sometimes the people involved sometimes. But even if you think in a basic religious way, the angels, the demons were extraterrestrial in a sense. They weren't in the same plane as human beings. They could come in and out of this 3D existence as they saw fit. So who's to say that people at one time didn't get superior knowledge, higher knowledge to do certain things? And we're talking about transferring electricity from one structure to the next 5, 6, 7, 10,000 years ago, like or beyond. That's wild. So my point in saying all of that is that at one time human beings did exist with a lot of uh, higher, because they said the planet was even hotter and exposed to more radiation at one time. So if the sun was more, or the planet was exposed to radiation more at one time, if there was more advancements in technology on this planet at one time while human beings were here, then maybe those humans were more able and adept to dealing with that. Whereas as time went on, we've had dark ages and dark periods in human history. We're not as evolved as we used to be, and so our bodies are weaker. Could that mean that we're not able to do a normal function that we used to be able to um, to be able to withstand? That's a possibility that we're not able to adapt. So that could be why radiation, even lower levels, can make us sicker. But even if that is the case, and we should naturally be able to handle at least some forms of radiation, and we do get natural forms from like the sun and stuff now, we just can't handle it in high doses. But even if that was the case, I don't like the idea of the government forcing, or different government bodies across the planet just forcing everybody to deal with this all at one time. And for those of you that don't know, radio waves in their inception, I believe it was 1918, when they first started introducing the world to like simple radio waves. A lot of people died back then too, thousands upon thousands. So I guess with each generation, they're always introducing something. I guess the goal is try to reach or achieve a status of technology and science that once was had, or maybe greater than once was had at one time. But it seems like they don't care if a lot of people die in the process. So again, and we'll talk about keeping ourselves healthy in future videos with different type of herbs and living. I just can't wait till the weather completely breaks and we have more access to outside with good, super good weather, because I like the hot. I cannot stand the cold. But anyway, moving on. Um, then he says here, I look for a job in the classified ads. I looked 10 places. You can even ask Dad. I went downtown in a blank for the next time around. I was mad at the man and not at myself. I said, I'm going to take something from somebody else. People going crazy because it's the 80s. You got to have a car to catch the ladies. People going crazy because it's the 80s. Not just the 80s, boo. People going crazy in 2020. And here he says, I was mad at the man and not at myself. I'm going to take something from somebody else. So even though he mentioned his dad, could the man be the quote unquote government, like a lot of people say today? Um, Interesting. But it says big bad brother. Here we go again with these authority figures. Like I can he said he mentioned dad, and then he mentioned the man, and then right here big bad brother. We've heard people say big brother in reference to some like a shadow government. But it says big bad brother thinking he tough, walking down the street trying to be rough. Little old lady coming home from the bank, set to go home is what she thinks. Big bad brother comes up from behind, scares the old lady out of her mind, snatches her purse, and he's on the run. So the lady takes him off the set with a gun. So she's out of her mind. Again, chaos is depicted in this song lyric. Coming home from the bank. We hear a lot in terms of like people being able to hold on to money, banking. The man comes and snatches her purse and he's on the run. And you know, with this COVID-19, and the bailouts that are going on, it does just seem like a lot of structured chaos is going on, and it's unpredictable when we're talking about these things. But think about this when we're talking about these different songs, and then I'm going to mention a few other songs and give the links to them, and then I'll end this video. So give me just a quick sec. Alright, so here's the infamous Computer Love. And this is Jam. This is a classic as well. Computer Love. But look at some of the lyrics here. Here we go. You know I've been searching, and this song is by Zap. And again, I'll link so you guys can hear it. Those of you, the few of you that may not be familiar with the song, especially the youngins, the Generation Z. But I think everybody, older millennials on up, have at least heard of the song. But Zap was a group. I believe it's like it's that guy that was in Zap. He actually ended up getting killed by his brother. Sad. But anyway, what is his name though? That's gonna bother me. Hold on, I gotta find his name. Okay, y'all. It's Ron Trotman. I was about to have a fit, and they actually were originated in Ohio, which was interesting. But yeah, wonderful group. Wonderful group. And with several members. Let me pull the screen over here. Here they are. Alright. Moving on. Okay, so here's Computer Love. You know I've been searching for someone who can share that special love with me, and your eyes that have that glow. Now when you just hear it, it's a very sexy computer synthesizer type of sounding song from back in the day. And you think he's just simply talking about a female, some girl that he think look good. But this song, if I'm not mistaken, came out somewhere in the 80s. So all that Computer Love stuff is basically out the window. We're talking about like the 80s. Yeah, this came out in 86. I'm looking over here. So nobody was checking for bras like that online. There was no Tinder and Black Planet and Facebook, and to try to go after girls shit. In the 86, I don't even know if they had phone services like that. They may or may have had them. I don't know. Dating services where you would just like a phone chat line. I don't even think those was probably popping until like the early 2000s. maybe late 90s, I don't know. But definitely in 86 when this came out, guys were not, couples were not trying to find each other through the computer. So to have that in the back of your mind as you listen to these lyrics. He said, you know, I've been searching for someone you can share, pardon me, that special love with me. And your eyes have that glow. Could it be your face I see on my computer screen? Need a special girl, ooh yeah, to share in my computer world. My computer world, I no longer need astrology thanks to modern technology. Hmm. Now, astrology was a form of knowing that the ancients definitely used. They were able to line up the stars and be able to tell different star systems, tell what type of being and what could likely lie in your future just by on how the stars laid, based on your birth chart. So it's a special type of science, but instead of using that, we're going to use technology. Interesting. And then he says, "Shubidi doo wop, I wanna love you. I wanna love you, baby. Computer love. I wanna love you, my computer love. From sexy mamas to cool prima donnas, I wanna share your treasure. Oh so rare, oh so rare. 'Cause it's your face I see on my computer screen. Oh, won't you keep me warm tonight? You are such a sweet delight. I will cherish the memory of this night. Yes, I found on my computer love. Digital love, digital love, computer love, digital love, a beautiful love, beautiful love. It's just computer, digital, beautiful, beautiful love." So, to me, this is kinda, if we're talking about a time period where couples didn't even get together, didn't even pair. People did not hook up in this way. But he's professing this love for the computer. You are my computer love, digital love. And everything is so, many things are not, could he be have, let me say it like this. Could he have been speaking of a future time where people can only relate, sadly, through their phones? If you look out and you watch the sidewalk or go to the mall or just go somewhere, even at the park or something, you'll see people's heads down, tilted to their phones. They're not really engaging um, intimately on a face-to-face level a lot of times. People are more comfortable texting and chatting online. And let's face it, computer technology is not going anywhere. Phone technology is not going anywhere. Just because it's breaking some of the intimacy bonds that we're accustomed to is still not going anywhere. But I think this song is kind of prophetic in a way that it's telling us what's coming down the line. We're going to be more in love with our computers, aka our cell phones, and our devices, than we will be with real people. And that's sad. It's actually sad. And this is coming from a person that likes to spend, I enjoy my alone time. I don't need a bunch of people in my face all the time. I prefer to have my space, but it can become unhealthy when it comes to isolating to the point of pathology, and you can't even form normal human interaction with normal human beings. So it's a balance there. But that's the basis of the song. He's talking about a computer love. And talking about do me baby. We're in the age of people falling in love with doll babies and Muppets and shit. It's really crazy. So I think I have one more, maybe two more songs real quick. 1 second. Now here's a song I never knew existed before, but this is by George Clinton. And this is called Game of Sound. Now it's another one of those so-called sexy songs, but it's very metaphorical in some parts of it. So he says, "Hello, I'm the computer game Dracula. I like to suck necks. I'm out in my brain because I can now insane, and I'm up to my jugular and D-rays, but I'm a winner. I'm motherfucking and my son is crazy. I did not teach him how to suck no necks. Rockets and bombs blasting at my feet. Of course, I can keep a beat. I'm your funky dancing computer game, and of course, I'm insane. May I invade your space? How much money will you spend? Do you ever really land? Game. I can out temptation. I can out Rick the James. I can out blank playing those games. I can out gigolo. I can out bug a bunny. I can outrun the road, splitting money. I can out heavy the load. I'm your computer game. Play me, play me, play me, playing those games. I can out funkadelic. I can out parliament. I can out rubber band. Of course, I'm insane. I'm your computer game. So he goes on, but it's like he can outdo stuff that's familiar or stuff that's natural. Of course, it's a play on words. Like I can out temptation. Like speaking of the Temptations, I can out Rick the James. Talking about Rick James. So these are things that are familiar and people that are familiar. But he's also talking about natural things. I can out bug a bunny. I can outrun the road. I can out heavy the load. I'm your computer game. So again, this person is speaking. This came out in 82, y'all. 82. January 1st, 1982. And it's saying I like to suck necks. Like drain the blood, drain the little life force from people. And technology, if not used wisely, it's a wonderful tool. Don't get me wrong. I love the internet because it gives me access to so much information in a quick time period than it would take me to go to the library and lug home 20 different books. And I'm all for getting books. I still love books, but you can get that same information and download a lot of stuff that you need right in the comfort of your home. But doing that and nothing but that can drain your life force. You have to be balanced. He says, I'm out in my brain because I can now insane. So he's saying that he's insane. I'm up to my jugular with D-rays. Now, we already talked about radiation and radiation rays. I wonder what D-rays is, though. Is that somebody or something that I should be familiar with? I'm Mother Funkenstein, and my son is crazy. Remember we talked about 5G and different type of magnetic frequencies having a negative effect on the human body and the mental health? I didn't teach him to suck no necks, but he doing it. And then right here, rockets and bombs blasting at my feet. Again, chaos. Symbology here. Alright, this is the last song. Moving on. Atomic Dog. Also written by George Clinton. This is a cult classic. Everybody knows. I don't care if you're 3 years old. You done heard Atomic Dog before. And again, he used a lot of symbology, like going crazy, going down to that base carnal nature. And that's what it can drive you to if you're not careful. You can't let this world just drive you to the state of an animal. So he starts the song, yeah, this is the story of a famous dog. For the dog that chases his tail will be dizzy. These are clapping dogs, rhythmic dogs, harmonic dogs, house dogs, street dogs, dogs of the world unite, dancing dogs, yeah, counting dogs, funky dogs, nasty dogs, atomic dog, atomic dog. So it's like all of the dogs unite. Now, when we think of canines, we're talking about a creature that people, and I like dogs, small ones especially, but I'm more of a cat person, but I can appreciate the beauty of you know, the dogs that people love and adore. So I'm not a dog hater. I love animal life. But when we usually think of when we're just saying dog in general, it can have a negative connotation because it's speaking about a base nature. And so if he's calling all the dogs of the world the base nature of, because again um what's that word, y'all? What's the word when you make something human like? Let me find it real quick. All right, I got it. It's anthropomorphic. So he's anthropomorphizing the dog, making it human like, giving it human traits, but also um, letting the dog keep its natural nature. Very carnal, funky dogs, nasty dogs, street dogs, harmonic dogs, rhythmic dogs, but it's making them more human like. Life on all fours. When you're out there walking the streets, may compete, nothing but the dog in ya. Untied dog, telematic society. When you're out there, now look at that, telematic. See what I'm saying? Society. When you're out there walking the streets, ain't your average huckleberry hound, may compete, nothing but the dog in ya. Why must I feel like that? Why must I chase the cat? Darn the dog in me. So it speaks to a being that's uncomfortable, like he's going against his nature. Some type of change is happening. Why must I feel like that? Futuristic bow wow, leader of the pack, wild dog. Why must I feel like that? Why must I chase the cats? Nothing but the dog in me. Do the dog catcher, do the dog catcher. House trained dog, wild dogs. Say it again. Why must I feel like that? Why must I chase the cat? And so when you initially hear the song, even though my explanation might sound like a stretch to some of you, but read between the lines. Life on all fours. See, being unprepared with big changes in society can take you down to your base level. It can take you down to your base level, and it can take you out of character. And basically, what this song sounds like is someone being taken out of character, because again of chaos. Telematic society. Atomic dog. Just think of the word atomic. Why is it atomic dog? When you think of atomic, again, you're thinking of explosion, chaos, radiation, energy fields, danger, you know? So that was the whole point of this video, starting with the song that I began with when we were talking about radioactivity, radiation, and 5G waves. These are different times indeed. And a lot of our late and greats, some living, some not, artists predicted these types of things. And maybe they put it in their music because it was a way to express themselves and put what was in their mind on to pen and paper, and express it in a way that could alleviate some of the fear and tension that existed inside of them, and also to low-key give the populations of the world a heads up. So that's just something to think about, y'all. I'm going to end this video. I would love to know what you think. If you can add something to it, if I missed something. And again, it's hard to articulate a topic like this succinctly and just bam bam bam, but I just try to give like some tidbits of what kind of goes through my head when we're talking about stuff like this. It's a lot of spiritual things going on, a lot of scientific things that are going on, a lot of political things that are going on, a lot of physiological things that are going on, that and that makes these events something that we need to pay attention to. We need to keep our health um, strong and compatible, and put your big girl boots on, big girl and big boy boots on, so that we can be prepared for the ever changing world. But those are my comments at this time. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to comment below, and I'll see you on
Everyone,
the next
including
video.
freaks, has been contaminated by the radioactivity.